Hi, this is my review on Batman Hush, one of the best Batman films and adaptations. This is as good as The Killing Joke, and I found I enjoyed this as much as The Killing Joke. So, Batman, is at a party as Bruce Wayne and runs into Selina Kyle, who hasn't committed a crime in a year. And Selina Kyle gets a text and from police Ivy, who's working for Hush. And the text somehow brainwashes Catwoman, but it's something. So Batman falls after his rope, while Batman's chasing Catwoman, he gets his bat. I feel it's called bat rope or something. No, bat zip was, it's bat something. Anyway, it gets cut by Hush after he fires a bullet at Batman's, when Batman is swinging in the air. Batman has a serious brain injury and continues going after and is forced to upgrade his Kevlar armor. And his new Kevlar, instead of being black and gray like we've seen many times in most Batman adaptations, is blue and gray for a change. And the reason why he wore that instead of wearing his usual armor is because the other one's more, the new one is more protective, is more thicker, has a thicker helmet and more protective around the skull. And Alfred advised him to not hitting his head again. So he doesn't, he wants to ask me 5 million tax bank questions. Has been working with Catwoman and Poison Ivy for some reason, and Obanza says no, and she gives his. He was going to tell her before the charge and had her man attack that explained. She was going to explain to me. He was going to explain to me more that Bane's using the venom toxin, which makes him immune to their tranquilizers. And he says, I was going to tell you, but you went ahead of me before I could tell you, basically. So it was a kind of a funny moment. So Batman doesn't get any answers from Bane because he helps him on while to get Bane. So Catwoman offers information to him if she lets her get a slice at Poison Ivy because she brainwashed her with her pheromone toxin. And he says yes, and Batman knows what Ivy's planning, that she's planning on brainwashing Superman, so he tells Alfred to pack the jewelry. And the jewelry is kryptonite, what's it called? Kryptonite. They're basically kryptonite spikes that attach to metal. Ah, fuck. The little metal gloves that have kryptonite spikes on them. I can't remember what they're called. I remember brass knuckles, kryptonite brass knuckles. And so they take down Suhan, and Catwoman pushes like Lois Lane off the building to snap Suhan, and it does. And turns out Catwoman wasn't supposed to do that. Wasn't supposed to push Superman's girlfriend off the building. He was just supposed to get his attention, but not actually. Batman plays it off like it was all part of the plan to Superman. And says, I had faith that he would save Lois. and says, like, basically saying it was all part of his plan, when actually it wasn't part of his plan. It was just part of Catwoman improvising. So, after interrogating Poison Ivy, they find out who's the madman behind all of this stuff, and he goes by the name Hush. He's admitted that she doesn't know who he is. He just goes by the name Hush, and told them all what she knows. And so now they're hunting Hush down. Then the Hush figures out who Batman is. And then she figures out his relationship with Selina Kyle. And somehow, no matter what Batman does, Hush is always 10 steps ahead of Batman. And Hush almost pushes Batman over the edge to committing murder. And you might not know this, but in the comics, Batman doesn't kill since the Silver Age started, and he somewhere slowed down in the Golden Age, I think. Made murder. He hasn't, in the comics, he hasn't killed since the Golden Age, early Golden Age of comics, and so that has become a regular thing that we can't say that we can't say for live adaptation Batman's, which that's why audience might be confused why Batman just doesn't kill the Joker, and why is he just being up, and when it's a rule that Batman follows, how he doesn't really kill, actually, and the comics, that he's been following that rule for a while now, over a decade, and fake Batman fan says, no, Batman does kill in the comics. I'm sorry, other people just have other visions of Batman than you. They would say that about Batman, but they won't say that about Superman or Spider-Man or any other comic book characters except Batman. Batman, I have noticed, is the least beloved character since he stopped killing in the comics. In my point of view, and Deadpool's the most beloved character, whether they know it or not. Whether they know all this stuff or not. The fact is that Deadpool's the most beloved character because people are protective of Deadpool more than any other comic book character over his character from the comic continuity. That Batman gets the opposite treatment. Despite how big his popularity and how much a pop culture icon he's become, he still doesn't get the love Deadpool gets. Which is sad because I'm more of a Batman fan than a Deadpool fan. So I'm more of a protective over Batman, and I can see why other people are more overly protected by Batman when it comes to this, of him not killing, why they get overprotective about this. And I can understand why, but I can only understand it to some extent. It depends on how you execute it. If you execute the whole Batman killing in live adaptations, well, and make him still feel like relevant and like also like timeless Batman. Which for the most part they do it well. So yeah, Batman almost kills the Joker by strangling him to death. By almost strangling the Joker to death after brutally beating him up. He snaps out of it after going to the world needs Batman. He snaps out of it a few seconds later. And Gordon pulls the gun on him. Gordon pulls the gun on him. Batman saying he won't let him do this, not over him. And saying the world needs Batman. And, so, Batman lets go of the Joker's neck. And it shrugs off and actually does some more digging on, just walks off and does some more digging on Hush. And the Joker was brainwashed into killing by Hush. Batman's closest friend, who is a doctor, and Batman later reveals his identity to Selina Kyle, who is Catwoman, and they have a romantic montage together. And Batman says he's not ready to rest until he finds he still needs her because Hush is still out there. And Selina Kyle eventually knows in the third act, after she's saved by Hush, who is later revealed to being the Riddler the entire time. And Riddler uses the Lazarus Pit because he had a severe big tumor that was untreatable after his operation that was fulfilled. And so Batman figures all of this out, that Riddler's been hushed since the night time, after figuring out that Riddler has had this had a failed operation on a tumor in his brain. So Riddler used the Lazarus Pit and took on the identity of Hush. Batman goes to save Selina Kyle and beat the crap out of Hush while trash talking and insulting the Riddler's riddles and how stupid of a joke and how stupid and much of a joke he is, and saying when all the villains find out it won't, and he smiles when he's saying this. He's saying when the other villains find out, they're going to kick your ass and it won't be pretty. He's saying this all while kicking Hush's ass. And Selina Kyle saved by Batman, gets set free from her death trap. And so they take down Hush, and Hush gets murdered by Selina Kyle because Batman was trying to save Hush. So she cuts the bat rope and kills Hush. And Batman's reflecting over the Hush's death and saying he didn't have to die. And he says, and then she realizes that he's actually insane. Like, really insane, actually, because of his guideline of not killing. And how he doesn't see any difference from the other criminals if he kills. So he loses his girlfriend, and as Jesus says goodbye, Bruce. And she's so heartbroken about how he's actually insane, and that this is what's going to end up getting him killed sooner or later. His rule of not killing will get him killed, she says. So she just takes off, and Batman says to himself, maybe someday I can change. But that's it. He's in his own way. He says it. And that is the end of Batman Hush. I really like this a lot. I'm sorry if I'm not talking as much. I'm getting kind of thirsty. So I'm giving this a 10 out of 10.